Mr Deputy President, I rise to contribute to the New South Wales Government's Bail and Crime Amendment Bill 2024. It's a short-term, knee-jerk reaction to a complex problem which germinated from one quick visit by the Premier to Moree. These proposed bail laws, which would make it harder for young people to get bail, were not preceded by any meaningful consultation. They also directly contradict promises from the Labor Party in the lead-up to the 2023 state election. Before the last election, the Attorney General Michael Daly, in a letter to the President of the Law Society of New South Wales on the subject of youth justice, wrote, "Labor is acutely aware of the implications of early contact with the criminal justice system. Every opportunity to safely divert young offenders away from the criminal justice system whilst ensuring community safety should be taken." These are hollow words from the New South Wales Labor government because the Premier is now trying to do the opposite. Again, I quote from the Attorney General Daly's letter, "Labor is committed to exploring initiatives to reduce the interactions between young people with the justice system. Appropriate frameworks, support mechanisms and diversionary programs focusing on care and education are vital to ensuring young people do not become involved in a recidivist offending cycle." So let's get it straight. Labor promises to keep kids out of jail before the election, and now they just want to lock them up. This approach not only undermines their chances of successful reintegration into society, but also perpetuates a cycle of criminality and recidivism. Let me be clear, I do not condone criminal behaviour, nor do I advocate for leniency in cases of wrongdoing. However, what I staunchly advocate for is a justice system that acknowledges the unique vulnerabilities, developmental stages and potential for rehabilitation among young individuals. Instead of investing in punitive measures that further marginalise and alienate our young people, we should be prioritising preventative measures, rehabilitation programs and community-based interventions that address the root causes of criminal behaviour. I am fairly certain that an inquiry into community safety in regional and rural communities, which was announced just yesterday, will find in favour of ways to help these kids instead of just locking them up. This bill does little or nothing to provide young offenders with the support they need to make positive changes in their lives. While the bill purports to address concerns about rising crime rates in regional New South Wales, it point-blank fails to recognise the complex underlying factors contributing to these trends. Crime rates are influenced by a myriad of social, economic and systemic factors. This simplistic legislative response of imposing stricter bail conditions does little to address the root causes of offending behaviour. Locking kids up for longer will just exacerbate the marginalisation and alienation of vulnerable youth populations, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds. And when I speak of disadvantaged backgrounds, let's not beat around the bush, no pun intended. 59% of young people in custody are Aboriginal. A staggering 80% of these young Aboriginal kids are on remand awaiting their day in court. The system is totally stacked against them. As the Law Society of New South Wales rightly points out, these reforms block the ability of First Nations children and young people to access the Youth Koori Court because the participants must be on bail to participate fully, as they need to be bailed to attend rehabilitation services. The numbers speak for themselves. Research indicates that incarceration at an early age is more likely to lead to a higher incidence of criminal behaviour than in later life. Figures from the Bureau of Crime Statistics and Research show that in 2022, 64.4% of young people released from detention were convicted of another offence within 12 months. This compares with the much lower figure of 44.3% for young people who were reconvicted after receiving a non-custodial sentence. Locking up kids doesn't break the circuit. It breaks the continuity of education, rehabilitation, and family life. Surely a preferable approach would be to amend the legislation to mandate intensive court-based bail supervision for the targeted cohort of children and young people if they are to be granted bail. That way, the community feels safer and the bailed kids are being supervised rather than incarcerated for an offence they're likely to be found not guilty of.